This is the Hockey Podcast Network, your home for hockey talk on every team in the NHL.
Welcome to Offside by a Mile, the podcast for anything and everything Colorado Avalanche, and the official Avs podcast for the Hockey Podcast Network. Well. Surprise, the Dallas Stars and the Tampa Bay Lightning are in the Stanley Cup Final. Wow.
Final two in the card game.
Final two in the card game. I guess you're here, so we might as well talk about the poker game. Jared's out sick in this episode, so your rare opportunity to see producer Brett in the flesh. Look at how gorgeous he is today. Look at him. He tried so hard.
I also have a party after this.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
But, you know,
Anyway,
I did it
Jared-
just for you guys.
Jared's out. Brett's in. I'm here. Tyler, usual.
I'm usually here. I just sit upstairs.
Yeah, he normally has other better things to do, like just listen to us. Pff, what a loser.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tampa Bay and Dallas won the poker game, as Brett likes to joke around about.
It's this poker game. Bettman sets it up. Some about, Canada just can't. There's rules. Canada can't have the cup yet.
It's like, it's like legal sports betting. You can't legally sports bet in a lot of like BetMGM and those sites because we live in Canada. We don't live in the right states, You're just automatically ineligible for the poker game in Canada. So that's why nobody ever makes the cup final anymore.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I knew Vancouver wouldn't make it because there was a rule and you're not allowed.
See, that's why the Avs got so close because, legal sports betting there now and, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It better not be that way. If there's legitimately like some backdoor dealing crap that gets you in the cup final.
Well, still to this day.
I'm not doing the conspiracy hat theory game today. It's not happening. We're not doing it.
It's true.
We're not doing it. That being said, we're recording this on Saturday before the first game of the cup final, so I have no idea what's happening. I know what's going to happen. I do have a very good feeling that Dallas is finally going to bite the bullet on the odds games here, because every single model the advanced stats guys have had the Dallas Stars losing, I think, every series except maybe the Flames series. And they've just destroyed teams. I mean, they didn't destroy the Avs, but, they destroyed a lot of injured Avs.
Yeah.
But then, they just smashed Vegas. Like, who had Dallas in 5 games against Vegas? Like, 0% chance of that.
Nobody.
But here they are, right? And I think I saw The Athletic had, or one of the Athletic models, I don't know if they all use the same one, but the one I saw was like 75% Tampa Bay. Which, if Braden Point is good enough to play.
Yeah, healthy, exactly.
He's not healthy. It's just he's good enough to play.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you watched game...
Yeah, when he came back.
6 or whatever the hell. Yeah, game 6. Yeah, when he was, like, on the bench with that, like, massage gun thing.
Yeah.
It's like, he ain't healthy, that's for sure.
That's a good point.
That being said, like, he's still driving play. Like, I don't understand. There's been a tweet that's been eating away at me for the last, 3 weeks. And it was, the most millennial thing I've ever seen. And it was somebody that was like, why do we put players on a pedestal that play through injuries so much? Because it's hard as fuck. I don't know. It was I read it and then I sent it to my friends and I was like, is this real life? Is this something that actually got put on Twitter? Which, it's Twitter. Everything gets put on Twitter because people are insane. But this one, for some reason, has just stuck in my brain. And it's just being a pro athlete is incredibly difficult. You have to overcome so many odds. But to be a guy like Braden Point and play through an injury and still perform at a elite level.
Yeah. And produce.
Like, that's what I mean. He's still producing. It's not like he's just skating around.
Yeah, no. He's
He is
driving plays. He's
producing.
creating stuff. It's unbelievable.
And he's probably got, like, some sort of hamstring or quad issue.
He's broken. You're right.
Yeah, like, he's powering through something. And it's just, like, I couldn't believe that was something I saw. And it was just like, why do we put them on a pedestal? Because it's really easy to get hurt and be like, yeah, I can't go.
Yeah.
The Ben Bishop way.
Exactly.
Hudobin is injured. I'm pretty sure. And he's still lighting it up.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That is a huge accomplishment. That is something that takes perseverance. That's something that takes a very strong will. That is something that deserves recognition.
Absolutely.
I couldn't believe I read a tweet that was like, why do we do this? Oh, my God.
Yeah. You can even go back another example. Rasmus in the Flame series.
Yeah.
He
on a broken foot.
Broken foot the whole Dallas series.
Yeah.
And he performed.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Right? Like, it's so easy to just pack it up and go home when you get hurt.
Yeah.
And obviously there's definitely injuries that you can't do that with. Like, obviously broken bones, but again, broken foot, right? Like, but like there's injuries that you just can't power through. They're too much, whatever. But there's also guys like Ben Bishop who just always seem to get hurt at the big moments. Always.
Yep.
And I guess we want to bring this into the Avs. There is definitely concern about Philip Grubauer being that kind of guy. Again, his injury was clearly way too serious to push through. Francouz had an injury, tried to push through. Joe Sakic said he couldn't push through anymore. Like, there was no way he was coming back to the playoffs. That's how serious his injury was. I'm not saying that they are just soft and they just didn't want to persevere through these injuries. But it's like the playoffs, you're going to have injuries every year.
Yeah, you have to expect it.
I mean, we can go to another team, the Leafs. The Leafs are a top-heavy team, and we're going to get to that about the Avs too, because I don't want the Avs to be like that ever. But the Leafs are a top-heavy team, which means they don't have the secondary options to fill their roster up. That's why when they lost Jake Muzzin in the Columbus series, they were fucked. Right? It's partly why when the Avs lost Eric Johnson, they were fucked.
Yeah.
They just couldn't play defense anymore. That's what it looked like, right? Like, their penalty kill couldn't do anything.
No.
Their defensive coverage just wasn't as good.
Yeah.
And it's not because Eric Johnson's the only defenseman on the team. It's because when he is removed from the six-man decor, the next guy up is not even close to as good as him.
Yeah, not even
in the defensive aspect, right? And when you're looking at the Leafs, they have spent all their money on offense. And again, bringing out the Avs, this is exactly why Taylor Hall, any rumor that Taylor Hall is coming here is a goddamn joke. There's no way that Joe Sakic's going to do that, in my opinion. Like, he can't. He cannot go big fish hunting for Taylor Hall. You can go big fish hunting for a goalie.
Yeah.
You can go big fish hunting for a defenseman.
Yeah.
These are things... I'm defenseman. Not offensive defenseman. This team has a surplus of offensive defensemen. That's true. They need defensemen.
Yeah. Somebody just... Yeah, that's true.
Somebody
to stay back there and
if you want to go...
solid.
If you want to go spend extra money filling a need, yes. Taylor Hall does not fill a need on this team.
No.
Nathan McKinnon is, I'm pretty sure, still leading the playoffs in points right now.
Is he?
I think.
I haven't actually seen that.
He might not. He might be like second or something. But
yeah, this team doesn't need anything on.
They don't need offense.
No.
Why would you? Why would you go spend money on Taylor Hall just to spend money on Taylor Hall? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Why does this team need offense? Right, and that's what's driving me insane, because it was the same thing. We had the same argument at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I remember all that.
Why would we go get Taylor Hall for a cup run when you have Landeskog, Rantanen, McKinnon, Nazem Kadri, Burakovsky, Donskoy, Cale Makar,
all these performing guys,
these offensive performers
of performance. Yeah.
Why would you go add more offense? We just watched
it
against Dallas. What did the Avs need? Saves?
Yeah.
Which, again, I'm not giving it to Frankie, and I'm not giving it to Grubauer because they were injured, and I'm not giving it to Hutchinson because it's not his job. Like, yeah, he's a goalie. He's supposed to save pucks. Yeah, he did a great job while he played.
He did.
But you know what screws you for saves is when your defense can't play defense. And part of that problem, like I said, was Erik Johnson not being here.
Yep.
Well, guess what? Getting Taylor Hall doesn't fix that problem. He is not a defensive forward. Period.
No.
Like, it does not make any sense to me. And the rumors I see about us being in on Taylor Hall is insanity.
I agree with you.
And I understand. Like, I saw a thing, Taylor Hall, I don't know, I saw a quote on Twitter somewhere. I don't remember where I saw it. Saying something like, winning is probably going to be more important than anything in his free agency, in like selling him on a team. Because he knows that the money's not going to be there because of COVID. Really, like, he's not going to, like,
that's true.
The rumors about Pietrangelo turning down 7.7 to me is kind of crazy because the fact that he thinks he's going to, like, apparently they're looking for, like, more than Yossi money, which is, I think, insane.
Huh.
But, like, to think that you're going to make top dollar, and I understand, these guys are top, like, they're the top of the list of the free agents, right? Like, if anybody's going to make top dollar, it's them. But if you think Taylor Hall at top dollar needs to be on this Avalanche team, you're insane.
I agree with you.
Right? Like, I don't know. I don't see a single argument that makes any sense.
I haven't seen the rumors, but I'm now shocked about it. It doesn't,
right?
Like, why would...
Okay,
why?
Back to the points thing. Nathan MacKinnon is tied for second in points now. Nikita Kucherov has 26. McKinnon's got 25 with Braden Point at 25.
Okay.
Again, definitely injured Braden Point has 25 points. And yes, he's only definitely been injured for like 3 games. But still, it like what Braden Point has done for Tampa Bay this year in the playoffs is unbelievable.
Yeah.
The couple of games that Braden Point missed for the Lightning, Kucherov looked like he was lost.
It's true.
So again, if Braden Point can play the next 5-6 games against the Dallas Stars, I think it's a gimme for Tampa Bay. The question is, does Corey Perry and or Jamie Benn go for Braden Point? Because they're gonna lean on Braden Point for sure.
Why wouldn't you?
Right, but again, the fact that we're into the start of the Stanley Cup final, and Nathan MacKinnon is 6 games less played, well, in theory, than Tampa Bay,
points.
and he's still got the same. Like, why does this team need more offense?
You don't. No.
I don't understand. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Now, the goaltending issue is interesting, I think, because I do think, and this is the common theme, it seems like, in Avs Twitter everywhere. If Joe Sakic can for sure upgrade on goalies, he has to.
Go get Holtby.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Is Holtby a guaranteed upgrade on Grubauer?
No. Grubauer, like when Grubauer's playing.
Like when
really
Grubauer,
good.
he's fine.
Solid, but
you know who's been fine the last 2 seasons? Braden Holtby.
It's true.
So why go spend the money on a guy where you're like, maybe?
Yeah, it's a gamble.
Again, you know who went and upgraded their goalies last year in free agency? The Florida Panthers. How'd that work out?
That's true.
How did that work out?
Didn't work out too.
They spent an incredible amount of money on a guy that just didn't do anything. And I don't think, this is my theory, and I mistakenly fucked up this theory in my fantasy draft when I drafted Sergei Bobrovsky and immediately regretted it. Like, immediately. I clicked draft, and I was like, why the fuck did I do that? My theory is goalies take a full season in a team, like in an organization, to get settled and get really on top of their game. Because goalies have to learn the system too.
Yep.
It's very different playing behind a John Tortorella coach team
versus
a Florida.
Yep.
Like Joe Quenneville. Yes, Joel Quenneville in Chicago might be a little closer to John Tortorella's Columbus team, but Joel Quenneville's Florida team is not.
No, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And you could see it in Bobrovsky. Is Bobrovsky going to be the same Bobrovsky he was in Columbus next year for Florida? Probably not, because the defense is not the same. Is Bobrovsky going to be a much better goalie than he was this year? Yeah. I do not question that in the slightest. He was a subpar goalie this year, Pure and simple.
Yeah.
He is going to be better than that. I guarantee it. And if he's not, the pitchforks are coming out in Florida. And there's going to be like 5 of them, but they're coming out.
I was going to say the low, yeah.
Right? Like, there's not a whole lot of passionate fans in Florida. But, I mean, I'll give you, there's some. But if he doesn't perform, there's going to be a lot of angry fans.
I'm sure there will be, yeah.
But again, if you're Joe Sakic and you're looking at goalies right now in the free agency pool, I still personally think that if the price is right on Darcy Kemper, that may be the option. But again, the price has to be right, and I'm not about to speculate on what they're going to get for a goalie because that seems like the hardest. It seems like the hardest value to peg, right? Like the goalie market, I never seem to really understand. It's just weird. It's just always like, I'm just thinking back to like free agency markets when it was like Bobrovsky was on the market and Howard and stuff like that. And like those guys were like rental goalies and nobody moved because nobody could get the value they were hoping for. So like, is Arizona actually going to get the value they're hoping for Kemper? I think so because of the year Kemper had. But again, is Kemper a guaranteed upgrade on Grubauer?
No.
On the numbers, yeah. But guess who also was hurt a lot this year?
Yeah.
Darcy Kemper.
Darcy Kemper, exactly.
Right? Braden Holtby was a 25-14 goalie this year with a .311 goals against average and an .898 save percentage. Is that a guaranteed upgrade on Philip Grubauer?
Not currently.
Not really. Right? Corey Crawford, I mean, that's a gamble. That might be cheap. And that's why I think Sakic may go there. Because Corey Crawford, he's got the pedigree. If he's your backup guy, like if he's your Francouz instead of Francouz in the playoffs, that may change things. Again, if he gets hurt, he gets hurt. And if you're the Avs aren't going to have 3 NHL caliber goalies going into next year. It's not going to happen. Right? But that you're hoping that you only need 1 goalie in the playoffs. If you need 2 though, Corey Crawford may be a decent choice to have as that kind of ace up your sleeve just in case Philip Grubauer does get hurt. Like he did this year.
Yep.
I do still think that the most intriguing guy and the guy that I don't think is going to get to market is Markstrom.
That's what I was just looking at. Markstrom. You do have Howard here too, Jimmy Howard.
Fuck that. Howard's so bad.
He is bad, but
is
it because he's in a bad vibe?
I don't think so. He's had some weird moments in the media over the last year or two where you're just like, man.
Would you want to live in Detroit?
No, I wouldn't. And I wouldn't want to play on that crap team. But at the same time, it's just like, I'm not gambling. Like, he can't be your third, like, right? Because this is the thing.
Yeah,
this is the thing I'm trying to pound home is the fact that the Avs have 2 guys right now.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go attack somebody at free agency, that means you're going to end up having to trade someone. So if you're going to have to trade Francouz or Philip Grubauer, maybe they try and trade Grubauer if they do get a real number 1. Why? Like you can't get Howard.
No, it's true. That's true.
And then have to trade a guy. That's just not a thing, right? Corey Crawford, maybe. But again, because Corey Crawford might be such a cheap deal, you might be able to just keep him as your third goalie on the roster. I don't know. That never seems to work. But that might be what you have to do. I don't know. But the Markstrom thing, next year is going to be the perfect season to have 2 goalies. Like to have a 1A and 1B. It's becoming that way. Like, right? That's the way the NHL is going. It's becoming that, the 1A, 1B league. But next year especially, because they're going to cram 70, 80 games.
In a tight schedule.
Into like a 2/3 length schedule.
Yeah.
There's going to be a ton of back-to-backs. You're going to need a goalie that can play a lot of hockey as your backup. Like, you need that to be a thing.
It has to be a strong backup too. Exactly.
Right?
You don't
So-
get these 78 game Kippersoft stuff anymore.
So this is where, I mean, now, obviously, it's not as easy. Oh, my God, I can't talk. It's not as easy as it looks for Vancouver because they're up against the cap because they have some bad contracts
it's
too.
True.
But it is the perfect time to sign Markstrom. Keep them this is the thing. Are the Vancouver Canucks going to lose Markstrom for absolutely nothing because all of a sudden they found Thatcher Demko, found him not a diamond in the rough, but all of a sudden he is an NHL guy after the playoffs, right? He was great. He's leading the playoffs in goals against at .06 or 0.64.
Yeah.
That's crazy. He had a great time. You know who else was a really stud goalie in the playoffs? Matt Murray. You know who's not arguably their starting goalie in Pittsburgh anymore? Matt Murray.
Yeah.
Right? So just straight up banking on Thatcher Demko being your one and only starter next year is crazy. So I feel like the Vancouver Canucks are signing Markstrom. If Demko has another stud year, they trade Markstrom. That's fine.
Fair.
That's fine.
That's fair.
If Markstrom has another good year, he is going to be a super sought-after commodity, and they're going to get great return. Or they're just going to lose him for nothing.
Yeah,
right.
No.
They are not that up against the cap
No.
to not sign Markstrom. Thatcher Demko is $1 million.
I don't even. Yeah, he's gonna stay there. In my opinion, he's not moving.
I would love Sakic to go get Markstrom, but you know what else? Going to get Markstrom is not a guarantee of being better than Philip Grubauer.
Yeah.
Because he's got to get acclimated to a new system and all this stuff, and it doesn't always work out. Sergei Bobrovsky was a stud.
He was.
And then he fell off a cliff.
He disappeared.
He fell off a cliff in Florida this year. That's not because he's all of a sudden a terrible goalie. I mean, you could arguably say it's because he's Russian and he got paid and he doesn't give a shit anymore.
It's different.
That's
water.
possible. Yeah, sure. Different water. Right? But I expect a bounce back from Bobrovsky. But the Avs don't really they can't really afford that if you're going to go try and upgrade your goalie position for next year.
That's true. Next year, yeah.
And yes, no trade in the world, no free agent signing in the world is a guarantee.
You're right.
But the thing is, the Avs still have quality goaltenders.
Yeah, and next year's going to be tough. I agree with you.
Right?
With the shortened season, you have to go with A.
So to me, you don't really go swinging for Braden Holtby. If Markstrom is actually available on October 7th, I believe, is free agency.
Yeah, somewhere right
Something
around
like
there.
that.
Yeah.
Maybe you go swinging for Markstrom because he's a guy, he's 30, he's got 4 or 5 years left at hopefully solid goaltending. He might be the answer. But at the same time, they're not desperate. They have two guys. Francouz and Grubauer are going to win hockey games next year.
Yeah, they did for us.
The injury things are a concern. Hopefully, the Avs medical staff can figure that out for both of them. Not again, you look at some of Grubauer's injuries this year, they're not necessarily his fault, quote unquote, right? With the concussion that he got in the Winter Classic and stuff like that, right? That happens. It sucks, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But these groin issues, or whatever the hell he did in the playoffs,
groins or muscle.
it's not his first time.
Nope.
It's not. And it won't be his last time. And it's unfortunate, but I don't know. Generally speaking, you look at goalies and they start getting these, like Jonathan Quick.
Yep.
They get them and they just continue to get them.
Yep.
But at the same, you can't just throw the guy away.
No.
You can't just throw him away. You can't
garbage.
just not trust him anymore.
Yep.
If he's going to make stops for you while he's in the net, that's better than a lot of what NHL teams have right now.
Exactly.
Right? Matt Murray can't stop a beach ball when he's in the net sometimes. At least Grubauer's going to do that. He doesn't have, as much as some fans want to say that Grubauer has some off nights, he doesn't have that many off nights in my book. This team has a lot of off nights. Grubauer doesn't let a lot through him that he can stop.
No, it's true.
Francouz, in my opinion, lets in more softies, but he has better stats because he battles. Somehow, he lets in a shitty one and he's good.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but he does. He's unreal at that. But again, right, they're not desperate. on the goaltending situation right now, in my opinion, to just go spend on somebody
I
or
agree
go
with you.
like sell the farm and trade for Kemper or whatever. But then the spicy meatball happens. And like we said, Alex Pietrangelo and the St. Louis Blues can't come to an agreement at this point. They're probably going to test free agency. Reports are that there's a $7.7 million annual deal on the table from St. Louis to Alex Pietrangelo, and he said no. Now, there's also rumors that they didn't tell him the structure of that deal, and he said no. And they basically said, take the 7.7 or don't. And they didn't tell him the structure. They didn't tell him the salary bonus, the signing bonus. They didn't tell him anything, which is a joke. If that's real, that's a joke. But, I mean, this is all hearsay on Twitter, so we'll see what happens. But then there's also the rumor that potentially Alex Pietrangelo asked for like $9.4 million or something.
At this time.
At Rona time, which I think is crazy. The thing about Pietrangelo, though, is he's pretty much the exact defenseman the Avs could really use. He's a slightly offensive guy, but he plays solid defensively.
Heavy D, yeah.
Like, if you look at the St. Louis Blues roster, Parayko is the exact guy that I would like off that roster. But, I mean, so does every team.
That's true, yeah.
Jonas Brodin. He just signed a, I believe, $6 million deal or something in Minnesota. He is a defensive stud. That is what the Avs need. A stud defenseman. Not Dumba. They don't need another offensive guy. You've got Cale Makar. You've got Bowen Byram in the system.
Yep.
You got Connor Timmins. You have guys that are coming that are going to be they're going to be NHL defensemen, and they're going to be on the offensive side of that NHLD.
Yeah.
You need to find defensive guys. And generally speaking, a top pairing defensive guy is going to be somebody that looks like Pietrangelo.
It's true. That'd be a good fit. You're right. I didn't even think about that. I just thought he cost too much.
I do too. But if you're going to spend too much money right now at free agency, I think it's on the defense, not on Taylor Hall. Because we watched what the defense need. Like, we watched it against a team like Dallas, of all teams. They couldn't stop them from scoring. Ever.
No.
Ever.
It was unbelievable.
Right? And it's just like, if a team is struggling to score that much coming into a series, and then all of a sudden it just flips a switch, and then the series ends and the switch flips back, because that's the thing. You can arguably say that, Dallas just woke up, the stars, like Radulov woke up, Kiviranta showed up and scored a hat trick. I think scored 4, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you have that. Then you have, Seguin got on the board. Jamie Benn got on the board. Gurianov got on the board. Heiskanen's just being a stud the whole playoffs, right? You can be like, they just woke up. But then they go to Vegas. And there's what? I think in 5 games there was 4 shutouts? 3 shutouts?
3, wasn't there?
Yeah, because Leonard had 2, I think, right?
Yeah.
And then Hudobin had 1.
Yeah.
And then game 5, it was 3-2 Dallas. Right? Like,
yeah.
They didn't score like they scored against the Avs.
It's
well,
true.
Guess what? You're probably looking at the Avs defense just being a problem. And if you, we saw it all year, right? We saw the stats, the analytics crowd, and all this stuff. The Avs defense isn't actually that bad. They can't penalty kill. They can't keep teams out of the middle. And when they get cycled on, it's a problem. All that stuff happened in the Dallas series. And if you don't think they need an upgrade on D, on the real deal, hard defenseman.
A real defenseman that's, stays in the D zone.
Right. Well, again, what Nikita Zadorov is supposed to be is a heavy defenseman. That's what they need. And yes, Pietrangelo is not exactly that, but Pietrangelo is a guy that plays a little heavier. He stops cycles. He does that kind of stuff. And is he worth $9.4 million? Not a chance.
What did you say he asked for? 11 or something?
No, 9.4.
9.4 was the highest.
That's what the rumor is. The rumor is he asked for Roman Josi money, which he's not Roman Josi.
I'd like this much money without fans in the stands.
Well,
for a
I
whole
mean,
season.
at the same time, like NHL owners can't, like, you can try and play that card, but you can't necessarily. Like, it's 80. The cap's 81 million.
That's true. Okay, fair.
You know, like that. It's not like they're all of a sudden a 60 million cap.
Yeah,
like,
it didn't
right?
drop down. Yeah, okay.
But that being said, what Pietrangelo is 30. What's Roman Josi? I would imagine he's not 30. Oh, he's 30. Look at that. I don't know. Roman Josi is a different animal. I mean, maybe it's not fair. Maybe it's not fair to say he's a different animal. Because Roman Josi is the best defenseman on his team. Pietrangelo is the best defenseman on St. Louis. That being said, it's free agency. Roman Josi didn't make it to free agency. They signed him before that. So, yeah, in a normal circumstance, Pietrangelo's probably going to make more than that. But this isn't a normal circumstance. Pure and simple.
Yeah.
But I can understand him trying to get that. And I can understand it. And I think some team is going to pay that. And that's the other problem is, as much as you want the Avs to go for him, there's a team that has cap space that doesn't really have any other draw other than money for a guy like Pietrangelo. And he's already got a cup. If he wants to just go play for the money, then he can do that.
Yep.
And he's more than welcome to. But if he wants to win again, the Avalanche are definitely a fit. I think the Avs have money. I definitely think Sakic could make it work, especially long term, right? Because, again, going into this year's free agency and next year's free agency, you have to remember the big-time money is coming. Like, Landeskog's going to get paid again. Cale Makar is coming up.
Yeah.
Other guys like that are coming up, right? Like, you're gonna have to pay some people some raises and stuff like that. Like, you can't just spend the cap this year because you have the money. But you also have money coming off. Like, Ian Cole's going to be off the books at the end of next year.
Yep.
Right? You have money like that coming off. And, again, if I did my due diligence, we could definitely look and see what we're going to look at next year. But that's Sakic's job, not mine.
Come on.
But, right, it's a case of that, and it's just a case of we're here in the now, but Cale Makar's not going anywhere. Nathan McKinnon's not going anywhere. Mikko Rantanen's not going anywhere. I would assume Landeskog's not going anywhere. This team has a very long window. Next year is not the only year to win the cup.
No.
You don't have to go spend all the money. But do we need Joe Sakic to go make the team better? Yeah. He's probably going to do it just like he did last year, and he's going to get some under-the-radar players that fit and that work and that fill the voids like he needs.
Yep.
Does this team need a number one defensive defenseman? I don't think so. Eric Johnson is still serviceable. Cale Makar and Ryan Graves played some really good minutes together this year. Ryan Graves had a great year, but guess who's also getting paid this year? Ryan Graves.
Ryan Graves, yeah.
Right? And I'm not saying you necessarily need that number one guy, but if you want to try for Alex Pietrangelo, I think you do. Because I think the upside for the next 4 or 5 years, I think it's worth it. But again, that's the thing with Pietrangelo. And Tom from the Blue Notes podcast said it in the Hockey Podcast Network group chat the other day. Pietrangelo can go be somebody else's Ryan Seabrook. That's his thought now, right? Like, he's like, we got the cup. Yes, he wants to get paid like, oh, he's a savior. He brought the cup here. Kind of like Brent Seabrook and Duncan Keith and stuff like that in Chicago, which is fine. That's all well and good. But you have to make the hard decisions as a fan. Well, not as a fan, but as the GM, you have to make hard decisions. And as a fan, if you want to be logical about it, if you want to see your team win more cups, a guy like Brent Seabrook isn't going to get you there for the next, like after the next couple of years. Right? Because, again, if you pay $9 million to Pietrangelo, How many years is he going to be worth $9 million?
At 30, right?
At 30. Like he's 30 right now.
3?
Maybe 3? He'll probably be worth 9 for 2. And then probably 1 he'll be worth like, I don't know, 7 or 8. But then it's probably going to start drifting off.
Oh, yeah. It will.
And becoming much, much, much harder to win.
Mm-hmm.
Because a guy like that is an anchor. We've said it before. How many anchors are on this team? Like how many legitimate anchors do the Avs have on their salary cap? 0. You could say Ian Cole at 4.25 is probably not worth it.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's a couple of $1 million.
Yeah.
You don't like you look at teams that have anchors like Vancouver and Louis Eriksson.
Yeah.
That's a $6-something million guy.
Yeah.
Right? Louis Eriksson's at $6 million. Yeah.
You're going to beat me. Yeah.
Right? But your anchors are generally like the bigger cap numbers that just aren't living up to their hype. Alex Pietrangelo is going to be that. So that's the thing. That's the thing that you have to look at every free agency ever. Is it worth gambling on the next 2 or 3 years? Because you know the last 4 or 5 years of that contract are going to be no good.
Yeah.
That being said, you can trade them. It just costs you assets, right?
That's true.
Right? Like teams like Arizona are up against the cap because they have cap dumps on those, like on their roster, right? You can trade them. That's not a problem. It's just, do you want to spend a first round pick on trading away a garbage contract or a couple of first round picks? Like if it's 5 years of Pietrangelo, it's just an absolute albatross. That's going to be a first and a second or a first and a prospect. Like that's going to be some legitimate assets. And again, we just watched the Avs. Are they that far off that you need to go and gamble away 5 years?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No.
But at the same time, a lot of the time, if you don't gamble, if you don't take that extra step, you don't put in that extra work, you don't take the risk, you don't get cups.
It's true.
Right? So it's a really, really hard balancing act. I don't think the Avs are there. I don't think they're ready to take that because they feel like their defense isn't that good. You're going to, like, I again, we've talked about it. I don't think Nikita Zadorov is in an Avs uniform next year. I don't. The Avs just re-signed Logan O'Connor for, a couple of years, pretty low risk potential reward deal. That's good for him. There's guys on this roster that are going to be re-signed. There's guys on this roster we're going to lose. I think Joe Sakic is going to do a very similar thing that he did last year. He's going to make the depth moves. He's going to grab guys that are undervalued, and hopefully they overperform like they did this year. That being said, if he goes out and swings, he better not swing for Taylor Hall. That's all I want. That's all I want. Just please God, don't let him swing for Taylor Hall.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand the point.
Well, if you can score an extra 5 goals a game, maybe you can go all the way.
I mean, like, in theory, that's...
Maybe he's for the power play. Maybe he's just for the power play.
Yeah, because he's definitely going to be an upgrade on Nathan McKinnon, Nazem Kadri.
If they
Landeskog.
score more goals on the power play.
Yeah, I know, but again, right? Is that a personnel thing or is that a systems thing?
It's true. Yeah.
I don't think it's personnel.
No.
If you think it's personnel and you think Taylor Hall is going to fix it, you're out of your mind. Right? Like, this is the thing. You look at this roster, and yes, we're fanboys of the Avs, and, like, you can't fall in love with your team necessarily. Like, right? Like, you look at fan bases across the world, or across the country, across the league. Everybody likes their roster for the most part. Right? Like, you look at almost every team, but, like, you look at almost all of them. They like their roster. They like a lot of players.
Yep.
You always get attached. Like, oh, I don't want to trade so-and-so because I like him.
Exactly.
But do I want that guy? Absolutely, I want that guy. Well, guess what? If you want a high-valued player, you got to give away some value in return.
Yeah, you can't keep
You're going to
everything.
lose stuff.
Yeah.
right? It's hard, but you have to not get attached to your roster. But again, the Avs have been here for 2 years in a row. They've lost in the second round in Game 7.
Yeah.
Last year, again, what season was more successful? Obviously, to me, it's this season we just had.
Yeah,
it's
this
more
season.
The Avs were a better hockey team. They fought for first all season while being one of the league's most injured teams.
Exactly.
That is a fantastic result.
Yep.
They made it to the second round. They made it to Game 7 of the second round. That's great. But guess what? They made it to Game 7 of the second round the year before. But this year, they did it on half a roster.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, too.
Yep.
I'm 100% willing to give this team with some tweaks another go. At least one more go. Again, this is another thing. I saw it on Leafs Twitter. And it was a case of like, are you really going to blow up the team over this Corona tournament? Quote unquote. I believe it's the playoffs. But it's not the normal playoffs. It's not right after the season. It's not like everybody's not oiled and all this stuff.
Yep.
It wasn't a normal time. Are you going to really go and gamble on a guy like Taylor Hall, on a guy like Pietrangelo? Are you going to go gamble that you only have a couple of years left because of this year's playoffs? This team is legit.
Yeah.
Pure and simple. They just need some tweaks. They need a couple of better D.
They need Band-Aids.
They need bubble wrap. We've said it a million times. Like, right? You somehow need to keep guys healthy. Which again is going to be very hard next year as well because it's going to be tight. It's going to be a super tight schedule. But it's just I don't think you go blow it up or like go gamble on a guy like Taylor Hall.
I agree. That makes no sense to me.
It's just like it's. You're just looking at having a Toronto Maple Leafs team if you go get Taylor Hall, where all you do is have offense every single night. And as fun as it is to watch, like as much as it sucks to watch the New York Islanders play hockey, they're successful.
They're successful. They're boring, but they're successful.
They're boring, but they're good.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want the Avs to become that. Not at all.
But you don't want the Leafs either. You
but I don't want the Leafs
exciting and going nowhere.
Right? Tampa Bay had that same problem until this year too.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay had that offensive firepower forever. Like every line.
Every line. Firing.
And again,
yep.
This Avs team, the first line obviously is a stud. Like it's just full of studs. The second line, great. The third line, for the most part, was really good. The fourth line, but that's what the fourth line is supposed to be.
Yeah.
You don't need offense. I don't know how many more times I gotta say it. The fact that it's happening again is the fact. Oh, Taylor Hall's a good fit. Where? How is he a good fit in Colorado?
I don't. Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Again, free agency is what, 3 weeks away? I guess.
Is it even
actually
that
no.
far?
It's
like 2 weeks, isn't it?
It's like 16 days away once this episode. So on Monday when you guys are listening to this episode, free agency I think is 6 days away. Or sorry, 16 days away.
I was like
16.
We lost 10 days there.
Yep.
Math's hard. It's okay.
Math's hard. No, my fucking brain just turned off, I guess. But yeah, so I mean, like, do I expect the Avs to go nuts on July 1st? No, I don't. Like, I don't expect them to just like 2 minutes into free agency be like, oh, Taylor Hall's an Av, or oh, Petrangelo's an Av, or oh,
they signed
Braden
both of
Holtby's
them.
an Av. No. Yeah, I'm
gonna go both, and
we're
everyone
gonna go
else
with
is
the
gone.
Parise Sutter or Suter strategy. Sign them both to the exact same amount of money forever.
They're ours. We're gonna do it.
It's gonna work. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's this Avs team is good. We know it's good.
It is good. It's exciting to watch too.
It's exciting to watch.
So,
now, I'm not saying they're gonna I'm not saying anybody's saying they gotta blow it up. But adding a legit top echelon player is a fucking big move. And this team doesn't need a big move. Could they use a big defenseman? Yeah. But that is the only thing to me that really legitimately makes sense.
I agree with you. Yep.
And then maybe Markstrom, if he makes it. Maybe.
That'd be incredible.
If he makes it to free agency, man, Jim Benning and the Vancouver Canucks staff made a huge error. Because, again, that is a huge asset to just lose for nothing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Like, obviously, they weren't going to trade Markstrom going into the trade deadline. Obviously,
No.
for sure. But you only have $1 million tied up in goalies right now. The Montreal Canadiens have like $14 million in goalies.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Now with Jake Allen.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's crazy.
I saw that.
The Vancouver Canucks can afford to sign and trade Markstrom if they have to. And to me, the thing that makes the most sense is sign Markstrom, play him for a season, and trade him.
Yeah, especially if
That,
Demko-
to me,
Yep.
makes the most sense if you want to sort of kind of protect Thatcher Demko, but also have a solid team again. Because you think the Vancouver Canucks don't want to make the playoffs next year? There's a very good chance if they lose Markstrom to free agency, they don't make the playoffs.
No, he was. I watched him a good chunk of those games this year, and he was a big part of their season.
Arguably their MVP.
Yeah, he was a huge chunk of their season.
Just because Thatcher Demko went off against Vegas
doesn't mean
you just let him walk out the door.
Oh, he got these games. He's amazing. It was playoffs. He'll
Again,
be even better in the season.
It'd be a very different story if the Vancouver Canucks were kind of like the Chicago Blackhawks and they were like up against the Caps, had a whole bunch of long-term expensive deals, all this stuff. They're not that. They have their backup goalie is $1 million.
Yeah, it's true. I was just looking at that.
They have the cap space to do it. Like what? Currently, they have $67 million tied up.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like any team, they have other players to sign, but they have room to sign Markstrom. Because I don't think Markstrom's going to get $10 million a year.
No.
He's not going to be the next Carey Price or the next Bobrovsky. It ain't happening. He's 30.
Yeah.
Goalies don't play to 38
No.
very much, right? Like, I don't know. The percentage chance of Markstrom actually being available on October 7th, 25%, 10%.
No, 0.
Like, it's so small. I don't know. I mean, I love it. Like, and I mean, AJ from DNVR tweeted about it, and he's like, man, looking at next year's free agency, like the UFA list for next year, there is a whole lot of nothing.
Oh, really?
This is a whole lot of nothing this year.
Yeah.
Like Taylor Hall,
yeah.
Pietrangelo, and stuff. Braden Holtby. That's quite the list. Apparently next year's even worse. So yeah. Again, if you think the Avs need to go swinging, this is the year to do it, I guess. But I don't think the Avs need to go swinging.
No. We just got to somehow get the healthy, like stay healthy.
Yeah, right. Like,
eat some more vegetables.
I said it in the Dallas series. Like, I don't know how to talk about this team getting better because all it is health. When this team is healthy and in a groove, man, watch out.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can say that about a lot of teams. But a lot of teams didn't lose the guys the Avs lost this year. Just on a consistent basis.
Yep.
Right? Like, the Avs had Colin Wilson this year. He played 5 games?
Is that it?
That's all I can remember.
9.
9. There you go.
You got 9.
But basically, right? It's unfortunate. Again, does he push the Avs into a cup? Probably not. But it's a guy they had that they didn't have because he was hurt all year.
Yep.
And yeah, when you look at Philip Grubauer and stuff, if he's injury prone, well, that's part of your problem. If you have a bunch of injury prone guys and then you continually get injured and you complain about being injured all the time, well, that's on you. But maybe Philip Grubauer is injury prone, but I don't think anybody else on this roster is injury prone. Right? Like, Ian Cole, sure. You know who wasn't hurt this year? Ian Cole. Right? Right? Like Ian Cole, we talked about it at the start of the year. He had some crazy surgery, rehab, all that stuff just to play hockey this year. And he's one of the few guys that didn't get hurt.
That's a good point.
It's just like, what? How does that even make sense?
The whole team needs to go to that rehab guy.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe they just have to send the entire roster to the physio guy that helped Ian Cole, and they'll be fine.
They'll be good. Some extra stretching or something.
I don't know. It is what it is, but until next week, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention the NHL awards, of course, are going to happen Monday evening. So tonight, if you're listening to this on Monday. So tune in to next week's episode as we bitch about Cale Makar. No. We're going to be super jacked. Cale Makar won the Calder. That's it. Pure and simple. No bitching next week.
Well, there won't be bitching because if he doesn't win, we're not doing it.
I just quit. I'm off. I'm out.
Boycott.
We'll try and line up the boys from the Stick and Rink podcast in Vancouver just to talk about the Quinn Hughes and the Cale Makar Calder
debate,
whatever. They'll probably say that Quinn Hughes got snubbed. We'd probably say that Cale Makar got snubbed. You know, it'll be that kind of conversation.
It'll be a great conversation.
It'll be great.
Tune in.
Hopefully we'll have them on. And, we'll talk about some Cup final stuff and probably some more who are the Avs going to keep out of their RFA and UFA crowd, I would imagine. But thanks for tuning in to this week's episode, and we will catch you next Monday. The biggest thing you can do to support us is by going to iTunes or Apple Podcasts and giving us a 5-star rating. Also, if you're looking to donate to the network, visit the Hockey Podcast Network's Patreon page. All donations go straight to the podcast host. Thanks, and see you next episode.
You're listening to the Hockey Podcast Network on Twitter @HockeyPodNet. New episodes every Monday and Thursday. Download at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com or wherever you get your podcasts from.